it's fun just to travel around, and it's really how we came a lot closer as a family. And it's just been something that, you know, everyone's like, oh, when are you gonna quit? I'm like, I'll never quit, because I want my daughter, you know, is 4 months old now, but I want her to feel this camaraderie and this passion for something. And even if she doesn't take anything from action sports, just to give her what my parents gave me, and that was that feeling of, hey, let's go out, let's be a family, let's have a lot of fun.
My dad rode, and then he got me into it. I think at 5, I got my first bike. When Ashley was born, that's all we thought about, was like, let's have Ashley ride a motorcycle.
I gotta say, most consistently from an early age, my big influence is probably my dad. When I was young, we never really rode much. He wasn't riding off-road because he'd had a bunch of injuries. But he'd always tell me stuff, and it wasn't even stuff about riding, it was more like life stuff, you know? He'd say, every time I go, I try as hard as I can, and it doesn't matter. He goes, it just doesn't matter, just focus and do you, and it's as good as you do. And it sounds kind of cheesy, like second place talk, but, you know, it's led me to love bikes.
When I brought James home from the hospital, I put him on my motorcycle before I ever took him into the house at 2 days old and took him for a ride.
When I was born in the emergency room, there was a PW50 waiting for me when I was born.
I grew up riding motorcycles with my father. I got my first motorcycle when I was 4 years old. It's something that now I really want my kids to do, just because I've got so many fond memories from it, and I think riding motorcycles shows you an element where, you know, sometimes it pays to take a risk, and anyone who's been successful in life, they've all taken risks.
My first experience that I remember on a motorcycle, I was probably about 2.5, 3 years old. And my dad would set me up on, he had a Triumph. And so I had to keep my legs out so I didn't burn my legs on the motor. And so I put him up on the gas tank, and I held on to my dad, and just everything I remember. I remember the smell of the motor and the fuel, and because he just finished painting, and I could remember smelling the paint and smelling him, you know, all these different smells going through my head, and then the warmth of the motor and the vibration. And I just thought, you know, I think everybody thinks their dad is Superman, but at that moment, my dad was the coolest guy, and I was the luckiest kid in the world.
People, when are you doing another one? I go, never, but guess what? My son is. Wow.
Yeah, that's not too big of shoes to fill.